right. Happy Monday. Welcome to Monday. And I got to be honest here. This one, unlike the other Mondays, Zach, I'm dragging. And I think it's because of Thanksgiving weekend. If there's like a Thanksgiving hangover, it's this Monday. But you combine it with what happened on Sunday night, Sunday afternoon. It's a rude awakening, at least today in Baltimore here. So, guys, appreciate you tuning in. I'm on coffee number 3. It might be coffee number 4 by the end of the show. But what we're going to do today, we're going to talk about what happened yesterday. We're going to talk about the weekend as a whole here, the good, the bad, and the ugly. We want to hear from you guys what you think is the good, the bad, and the ugly of your weekend. And Bill Belichick commented on the struggles for Justin Tucker. That's probably the biggest headline out of that Ravens-Eagles game. And there's some other news around the league. There's still controversy over quarterbacks giving themselves up, but could they protect themselves more? And there was a really devastating hit on Trevor Lawrence that we'll talk about. The Stuggies were introducing the play of the week this week, so at least there is some positive here in Baltimore. And then it looks like the MVP race, if there ever was the campaign for Josh Allen to grow louder, goodness gracious, in the snow in Buffalo, it's going to be Josh Allen's award to lose. At least that's what it feels like. But that's what we got planned for you. Let us know where you're tuning in from. And right now, it's just Zach and I. Zach, happy Monday. Just saw you. How are you handling Monday today?
It's a Monday. Like you said, this might be one of the most Mondays to ever Monday. Pairing the Thanksgiving. It feels like we haven't been a real human, honestly, since last Wednesday, because you woke up, Wednesday, everyone's going out. Thursday, you have Thanksgiving, but you also had 3 football games. You wake up on Friday, there's a 3 p.m. NFL game. You're like, whoa, all the college matchups going on. We saw the incredible show that was college football rivalry weekend. Then you add on the yesterday with the NFL, obviously the Ravens game. It feels like today I woke up and was like, wow, I have to be a productive human for the first time in years, which is it's definitely a Monday feeling. Definitely a Monday vibe.
I know that post Super Bowl, that Monday, I'm all for it being a national holiday and taking off. I'm kind of leaning that there needs to be an in-between day for after Thanksgiving, because you're right. Probably Wednesday night, if you had some extracurricular activities or you're coming back for a little reunion, maybe you indulge a little bit too much, Zach.
Yeah.
And then Thursday, you're with the family, you're eating a lot, but then it's games on Thursday and Friday and Saturday and the food and the drinks and everything. And then you go to the Ravens game, the lots were buzzing yesterday and you're having a great time. And then it hits that you got to get up the next morning. Oh, and by the way, your favorite team lost a game that kind of went with the day it was yesterday. It turned out being a gloomy, cold day in Baltimore. The weather's finally changed over here. So, woof. But you could be Brooks then, though, Zach. You could be Brooks and just drive 50 minutes to a meeting next Monday.
I'm telling you, the most Monday to ever Monday. It really is. I like what you're thinking, though. Like maybe like a half day on this Monday. Like everyone gets to go into work like later. Like just ease into the week after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it's You know what? Brooks wins. That's really good. Really good, Brooks.
That's proud of you.
Really good. Brooks. You know what? You're a good kid. I don't care what they say about you. We'll talk a little bit about the college football at the end of it because there was some wild moments here. Kieran, we're talking about the flag placements, the plants.
Rivalries are so back.
Rivalries are so
back.
So back. And you love it, right? But let's just immediately react then to yesterday's game because that's where everyone's mind initially goes, correct? So in this case here, I got to tell you what, I was feeling good before the game. Might have been the apple cider, spiked drink I was having tailgating, Zach. Maybe it was seeing friends and family, but it was also the confidence that I felt with Baltimore facing Philly, right? Yeah. I knew Philly was a good team. They are a very good team. Their defense had been playing well, but there was nothing that struck me as a team that they were unbeatable, that they were a better overall team. So going in, you're feeling good. And I'll tell you what, the Ravens started hot. They certainly did. Lamar extends plays. 9-0. And it was the start of, I guess, that extra point miss ended up being the start of something that continued on the rest of the game, Zach. But through the first quarter, you felt really good. And I don't know, I'm just trying to even place it. Then all of a sudden, you look up and the Ravens lost 24-19.
Yeah, it escalated quickly or de-escalated quickly in the fact that, you go up 9-0. The first drive, you feel like maybe you could get 7. You felt like maybe you left some points on the board there. Defense goes right out, gets a 3 and out. You're like, okay, Lamar doing Lamar things, finding Zay Flowers, extending the play. Then you have that insane Mark Andrews grab. I mean, just Lamar put it where nobody else can get it. Mark Andrews goes out, takes it out of everyone's hands. Absolutely incredible. And you go from that high to then just seconds later, the missed extra point. And then you're like, okay, not what I thought was going to happen. Not ideal. But you felt like, okay, the offense, the defense is playing well. Defense goes out there 3 and out. And you're like, okay, we're going to make up for it. This isn't going to stop us. You get something going, and then all of a sudden it just felt like you had the miscommunication between Lamar and Likely on the missed throw. Then you had the bobbled snap that lost 9. Then you're punting away. And it just felt like ever after that moment, the Ravens were playing catch up. Then you add on 2 more missed field goals. The defense, while they were incredible for the majority of the day, had 1 or 2 drives here where the Eagles were able to get some momentum going on short fields. And it really just felt like that was all she wrote at the end of it. It just felt like after 9-0, all momentum was for Baltimore. They just had to find a way to keep it. And it, self-inflicted wounds, as we've talked about plenty of times, unfortunately, probably led to the Ravens losing this game.
The big word that you just said there, and I'm proud of you. I didn't expect it out of a Don, but it was momentum.
Yeah.
That's the key word here, momentum. There was a shift. And specifically, even the third quarter, a quarter that the Ravens dominated time of possession, dominated, but ended up coming away with nothing in those moments. And quite frankly, this is where I want to really kind of dive into it, because I understand that the highlight is, and I put out a video last night on Twitter for a moment, the Tucker situation, which we're going to deep dive into it. And Bill Belichick did touch on it today on the Pat McAfee show. So we're going to see what's going to happen here. Nick more up in the air if he's coming on today, just different scheduling things, but we will have Nick on at some point this week. But the thing is, Zach, the kicks, yes. Could the Ravens have won the game if Tucker makes the kicks at 7 points? Absolutely. Does it guarantee they win this game?
No.
No, because the Ravens still couldn't get into the end zone again until the end of the game.
Yeah, when everything was garbage.
But let me read you guys some stats here. And I don't like to get all into the stats, but I think it tells a good story. This is why it felt like, I'm like, man, Baltimore really didn't play as poorly as, some people might say. And Dan Orlovsky's another one we'll react to next. First downs, Baltimore at 24, Philly 17. Third down efficiency, Baltimore was 6 of 15, Philly was 4 of 12. Ravens ran 17 more total plays. They had 120 more total yards. They had more passing yards. They ended up having more rushing, which again, that big run by Lamar, but still had more rushing yards on the day. How about this? Fewer penalties. The Ravens had a total of 20 penalty yards on the day, and they dominated time of possession by 7 minutes. So when I read all of that to you, you think, hey, Baltimore, hell yeah, they win by 7. They win by 10. Here's the biggest glaring part here. And I don't want to say red zone. They put red zone in here, and it's a part of it. Yeah. I'd say within the 30.
Yeah.
The Eagles scored 3 touchdowns from the 30-yard line in. Saquon Barkley had the dagger run. Mm-hmm. Dallas Goedert, the touchdown, 17-yard touchdown pass, and then the tush push. There it was. Baltimore got inside the 25, 30. Couple of those times Lamar got sacked.
Yeah.
And then Tucker missed some kicks. So we can say, yes, the kicks hurt. They did. No doubt about it. Stings the nostrils, as Ron Burgundy would say. But, Zach, I think that was the bigger part here. Against good teams, beatable teams, you have to get it in the end zone, and that really was the difference down the stretch. Baltimore beat them in every other category except the one we're getting 6 and getting pay dirt. That was the difference in my mind before we talk about the whole Tucker thing.
Yeah, it was. It was the fact that the Ravens couldn't finish the job on drives. And yeah, we can sit here and point to Justin Tucker, and that is the glaring, obvious stat. If you watched yesterday's game, the big storyline was Justin Tucker. But like you said, and like we've talked about, I talked about on Kevin and Zach React last night, the offense did Tucker and them no favors. You know, we had the ball inside the 20 and you take a 15-yard sack. Suddenly that first field goal, well, yes, Justin Tucker's going to tell you he needs to make that 10 times out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
Even if that's the exact same kick from the 20 instead of the 30, it's in. So now, yes, Tucker, like I said, is going to say that he needs to make it, and he should. But the offense put the special teams unit, you know, the other missed kick after a sack, you know, you lose yardage. You put yourself behind the sticks, and it impacts the rest of the game. You know, special teams unit, not only the missed kicks, but times where the Eagles were able to down it within the 5-yard line on punts, and now you're setting the offense back behind the 8 ball. So it just felt like one of those games where the Ravens were doing everything well except for finishing it.
Mm-hmm.
Like it would be a good drive. You would get down. We saw the one drive where I really felt was telling. The Ravens run the ball with Derrick Henry pretty much all the way to the 50-yard line, then 3 straight passes. And it was like there was no need to do that. Just finish the drive how you were starting it. They got down to the red zone, they got to the 30s, and they got too cute. It just felt like they got too cute. They got in their head, and it led them to negative yards that ended up hurting them.
Yeah, I mean, here's the other thing, too, just to wrap it in here. Derrick Henry didn't get a lack of carries, by the way, right? He got 19 carries, but you're right, to the point, situationally. And in that red area, or even extending past it, it was the biggest difference. And I think this is the part where I walk away from this game going, well, damn, nothing changes my feeling of who the Ravens can be and who they can beat. But it's a reminder, when you are playing better teams, you're going to have to capitalize. The Eagles, Jalen Hurts threw 19 times for 118 yards. That's how the Eagles want to play. And I think Nick Sirianni said it after the game. He's like, hey, we're boring. We're okay with being boring, and we're fine with giving it to the guy that has quads bigger than Zach and I's head combined, just one of them, because we're good giving him the ball later in the game, trying to wear down a team. And they did. They did it at the end, but 118 total passing yards for Jalen Hurts. Derrick Henry, 82 yards. Mark Andrews, we'll get into him more, but great game from him. But it was little things. So maybe we'll start with this. The Lamar Jackson conversation, because everyone wants to go to blame the quarterback, obviously. But let's listen to, let's start with Dan Orlovsky talking about Lamar Jackson after this game. It's about the MVP conversation, but really about Lamar's play the last few weeks. So let's play it for you guys.
To remember, like 3 weeks ago, when Lamar Jackson was having one of the greatest seasons in NFL history. And all of a sudden now, he's not. That Steeler game, it didn't look so good. And then yesterday, the numbers look good. If you just look at his numbers yesterday, he had over 300 yards of total offense. He had 2 touchdowns, but it didn't look right. What did we see?
Lamar played poorly, and that's the second time in 3 weeks. Egregious misses. I thought some egregious misses. I thought he didn't see the field clearly and then tried to do too much. We've seen Lamar try to kind of go and make things happen down in the red zone. Justin Tucker missed kicks, but I think he hurt Justin Tucker by some of those sacks. This is an egregious miss. I mean, if he hits likely here, this might be a touchdown, but that's a poor miss. The sprint out to Zay Flowers on 3rd down is wide open. That ball doesn't get tipped. It just looks like it. I thought he forced some throws, and so this is, I think Lamar in the last 3 weeks has played himself out of the lead of the MVP conversation. Again, egregious misses, forced throws. I think he was running around trying to do too much, and he was trying to win the game in one play, and that's what hurt their offense.
So that situation I talked about earlier, Zach, with the Ravens being in that red zone area at the 20, 25-yard line, and Lamar did take 2 costly sacks. Now it's pick your poison, right? Because Lamar, no one's better than Lamar Jackson at extending a play, getting out of the sack. But in those cases, with what Tucker's situation ended up being, it added on to it. And he did have some misses. Now, personally, though, I'm not going to say that Lamar Jackson, of all these cases, yes, the Steelers game, weird game. We talked about that. If we're comparing between Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson here, Lamar, to me, played better than Jalen, but Jalen was the one that made maybe less mistakes. I think that's just the way to say it. And not saying mistakes turnover-wise. No turnovers in the game. Sacks. Taking what's needed. Jalen Hurts ran the ball when he needed to, right? So it's little stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what's glaring out to it. And I'm not even going to say it's Lamar's games the last 2 weeks. We know this. Your team wins and you're the quarterback for the team that's winning games. That's the biggest takeaway from it. You know, we'll talk about Josh Allen.
Yeah.
I know Lamar wants some back. Do you want to say a comment before we show Lamar talking about his performance?
Real fast, because I think it is one of those things in the statement that I agree with most from Dan is the fact that Lamar was trying to win the game on a single play. The number of times yesterday when there was a guy open in the flat, there was a guy in the check down, it was take the 5 yards and move on. Take what they're giving you and move on. The stuff that Lamar Jackson had been doing so well earlier in this season. You know, we had raved about it, that the fact that Lamar's taking what the defense is giving it, whether it's, we'll get into it, running lanes, whether it's, hey, they're giving me the 5-6 yard out. Hey, they're giving me the Justice Hill check down that's going to get 6 yards and keep us ahead of the chains. Instead of taking those, he was, okay, let's try to force this deep shot to Nelson Aguilar twice. Hey, let's go take a shot down to a covered Mark Andrews. You know, they started taking these deep shots saying, okay, we got to get back in the game. And it felt like they were playing a game that wasn't happening. You know, they were playing in a game that felt like, okay, we got to score all these points. And you're like, hey, it's a 2-point game. You know, don't stick to what you do. Take the checkdowns. And I think that's what's most frustrating was you saw signs of it. The screen passes to Derrick Henry that were getting loose. Derrick Henry getting the ball. Like you said, there was not a lack of touches for Derrick Henry. It just felt like the Ravens offense stalled at times, like they were taking too many deep shots, trying to go for it all too many times. And like we're about to talk about, a lot of opportunities that people felt that, hey, Lamar Jackson, yes, we think you are an incredible passer. The strides he has taken in his career are incredible. And I think he's one of, you know, he leads the league in passing yards, all that. He's one of the best passers there. Lamar Jackson's running ability is the most gifted athlete to ever step in this league, is what separates him at the quarterback position. And we'll talk about this now and react to it. Was people were wondering why Lamar didn't take off a few more times when he had opportunities they felt like could really take over this game.
Exactly. I mean, look, this was one of the times where, and I feel for Lamar, where it's always there's someone that wants to critique him on something. Hey, you need to throw the ball better. That's going to prove the doubters wrong. And he is great at improvising. And he's even talked about how he wants to extend plays.
Yeah.
But still, his one gift that he has that is just so much more spectacular than any other player on the planet, especially the one that plays quarterback, is his ability to extend plays with his feet. And actually, after the game, post-game, people asked him about that, and his mom had an interesting reaction for Lamar Jackson. So let's play that clip for you.
Opportunities to run today for you that you may have passed up?
Yeah, my mama just told me that. She just cussed me out. So like I'm mad. So like we gonna get after it, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you. We gonna get after it. I can't wait till this ball get on. Like we got the Giants coming up. I'm ready to go. Like I'm just ready to go, man.
I think he's ready to go.
I would say so.
And he's pissed. But you know what? That was the one thing. If you watch the game yesterday, there was some lanes where, again, you're saying, hey, take the 5 yards. If it was a quick dump off, or, hey, nothing's coming available down the field, you don't need the big play right now, just slowly you're going to take it away. And it's just little punches and little punches there. Then the big blow can happen. And Lamar, he even said it there. He just, could have done better, but he's pissed. He's determined. And that's why I feel for the guy. He really can't do any right in so many people's minds. The Ravens are still in a good position, but it's once again an opportunity here where Baltimore loses a game. Pittsburgh wins, which, by the way, Cincinnati, I don't ever want to hear anything about. And I was, you know what,
we
fooled me
both,
once.
We were both very in on them.
Yeah, we were, because we're like, this team, talk about a team offensively that's too talented. Mm-hmm. And then the Steelers, I don't know what they've been doing offensively the last couple weeks.
The Bengals made Russell Wilson look like prime Tom Brady.
Like combination of Tom and Peyton Manning in his prime. Like it was up there. But they did whatever they wanted. And now Cincy's path to try to make the playoffs is going to be almost nearly impossible. They're going to have to run the table there. But, hey, I don't feel sorry for him. Actually, funny clip. Shannon Sharp, which I love, dug into Chad Ochocinco there. I want to pull that up because I think that is hilarious. Where do I have it? I got it. I pull it up.
You should be crying. Sorry.
We gonna be all right.
No, y'all ain't.
We gonna be all right.
Next year. Y'all ain't gonna be all right this year. Hey, man, you done got them people. You had people in Cincinnati believe in you. Man, Ocho say we gonna be all right. Not everybody ain't doing nothing but eating chili and hot dogs.
So I just want to throw that out just on a side note there. And this is the one time we needed Cincinnati to win that game. Because if they win that game and Baltimore beats Philly, you're back in first place. Just like that. Now it's going to get a little bit more challenging for Baltimore. Realistically, what's going to have to happen here is Baltimore is going to have to kind of run the table. And Pittsburgh's going to either have to lose 3 or 4, or their 2 of their 4 losses have to come inside the AFC, with one of them being against Baltimore because of how it's going to break down. So it means the Ravens have to beat them, and then they're going to have to lose to Cincinnati or Cleveland, and that's going to be in Pittsburgh.
The Chiefs.
Well, here's the other thing. So I said lose 3 or 4 because say the Ravens win out and they lose 3 or 4. So they got the Chiefs, the Eagles, the Browns. No, it's Chiefs, Eagles, Browns, Ravens, Bengals. They have 5 games left. So it's possible.
That's why they have a tough schedule. So that's why I'm saying, like, it's possible. Without a doubt, the Ravens have to win out. If the Ravens don't win out, I don't see them winning the division just because of how everything needs to happen. Like, you would have to have Pittsburgh lose a lot of games.
Yeah.
But the focus is on making the playoffs. Obviously, it's set at 97% chance they're going to make the playoffs, but that's the focus right now. If Pittsburgh loses enough that you win the division, awesome. But focus has got to be on the Giants next. Then you got Pittsburgh again. You got the Giants, Pittsburgh, and then you're sitting at with the Texans.
Yeah.
So,
and here's the thing right now. Ravens 8-5, Texans 8-5. The Broncos, if they win tonight, are 8-5. And the Chargers are 8-4 right now. Right? So, like, when you look around those teams, the Chargers, Ravens just beat the Chargers. They demolished the Broncos. Right? So teams that have similar records, I think that's why fans are getting frustrated, Zach, because when you look at the Ravens' record compared to other teams with similar records, you feel that Baltimore is, head and shoulders the better team. But it has been something, whether early on it was the defense not be able to make stops and Ravens win 16. Ravens defense played well. Yeah. They really did. They really did. The last 3 weeks, they're coming on here. But earlier it was they were having troubles closing out games. Then there was part of it where, hey, it was that ugly game in Pittsburgh. And then there was yesterday where, unfortunately, was the most glaring. We can get into this conversation then, Zach. Justin Tucker's misses were the most felt.
Yeah.
Especially in Baltimore. It was the worst case scenario, at least when the kicks were being missed beforehand. I know he had one against the Raiders at home.
Yeah, Raiders. Then obviously the Steelers.
But the other ones, what I was saying is we're more on the road.
Yeah.
Where you're sitting there going, oh, man. And the Steelers one was that one where you sat there and go, I can't believe I'm watching this. But, it's at Pittsburgh. It's weird. In Baltimore, the fans, you could feel it. And I don't know if I got one of my buddies texting me. This is actually a good question. Maybe any of you guys out there listening right now can chime in. What is considered one of the most demoralizing situations in sports? Missing consecutive penalty kicks was an option. One was saying missing consecutive free throws in a close game. For striking out for baseball, I don't think that there's one there because I think if you continue to strike out, if you, go 0 for 4 golden sombrero, that sucks. Done that before. But missing a kick, demoralizing a team, I feel like that's up there. And I felt like at the stadium, you could feel just the life getting sucked out just from watching it going, oh, damn, I can't believe that. And then the Eagles, which they traveled well, the Philly fans traveled well, their energy boosted And I think for Baltimore, it was right then and there. It was like, I can't believe this happened. And then everything, the Eagles weren't looking back. And they didn't look back. So is it about time that we play the clip with Bill Belichick? I think that might be a good time.
Yeah, just talking about the misses.
Yes. So before we do that, though, appreciate you guys for tuning in. Ryan Ripken Show. We do this live every Monday and Thursday at 3 p.m. And we're starting on Wednesday, a happy hour, because we got a lot of baseball fans in there. And we got some exciting news upcoming here for next week. There's a lot that hopefully is going to be happening on the hot stove in baseball. But join us on Wednesdays to have all those questions answered. Make sure you tune in next week. So it'll be a lot to talk about in the baseball world. Just wanted to throw that out there. And when we have a minute here, would love to give thanks to our sponsor, Adams Jeep of Maryland, which, Zach, it's that time where it's struggling for me to pull up the video. Like clockwork. Let's see if we get it. How much time you think I can do it in? 3, 2, 1.
No chance.
1.
There it is.
See, I said 1. Adams Jeep of Maryland up in Aberdeen, 5 minutes from the stadium. Really, anything you need. If you're looking for a new car, a used car, Adams Jeep of Maryland, they're your go-to guys. Tell Chuck and Matt we say hello. And if you say, hey, we love the Ryan Ripken Show and Rocco Sucks, and you buy a used car up there, they're going to give you $1,000 in gas money. But the other great thing is, if you're looking into customizations for your vehicle, whatever vehicle, stop traffic, Adams Extreme Motorsports, that's what they're offering there. Customizations on any vehicle, Ford, Toyota, Chevy, Honda, you name it, they will customize it, and they got a great deal going for tires. Get 3 tires. The 4th one is just $1. So Adams Jeep of Maryland, we appreciate you guys. They've been our OG sponsors from the start, helped us continue to build here at the Ryan Ripken Show. Now, let's get into this conversation because Justin Tucker, headliner in this game, unfortunately, not in the good way. This is uncharted territory for the greatest kicker of all time, essentially. Bill Belichick went on the Pat McAfee show today. There was the question of kind of what you're seeing, Bill. And, there was adjustments made, but clearly things are still wrong. So we're going to play that clip about Bill Belichick reacting, and we'll talk about it on the other side.
They're missing both ways. Every one of his misses up until yesterday was left, like the same thing. And I don't like to drop my thoughts into people's life and be like, I know more than you. This is what I should do, especially in this world because there's so much going on and every kicker is different, every operation is different. But I wanted to text Jordan Stout, the punter, and be like, hey, can we just lean the ball a little bit so that he can maybe straighten that thing out as opposed to the draw? Let's lean it a little bit, fight the draw. And then he misses one to the right, and I'm like, all right, now I don't know. There's real cause for concern in panic, I think, whenever you're missing both ways, Coach.
Yeah, well, and to your point, Pat, just a little bit of lean one way or the other can definitely affect the flight of the ball. One thing about Tucker's balls, in my experience, has been his balls always went perfectly straight. They didn't hook through. They didn't have any draw on them. They were just straight.
Sure.
And when I see his balls start to move a little bit now, that tells me that there's something different than what it was. I don't know exactly what that is. Maybe it's the lean of the ball. Maybe it's his technique. Maybe it's I'm not sure exactly, but it seems like that's correctable. Just got to figure out what it is.
I think so too. The thing I'm worried about is maybe he has a little, because maybe he's something, but but that has not been announced, so we can't obviously assume anything. But come on, Tuck. Come on, baby.
Got it, Tucker. Tuck.
Come on, Tuck.
Well, there's no doubt, Pat. If there's an injury involved and there's a compensation for that, that could definitely, change the mechanics of the kick.
So interesting, right? The one part of it saying going from side to side. And I actually thought it was interesting, Pat McAfee, mentioning with Jordan Stout of, hey, try to lean the ball one way. And for all of Tucker's misses until that second one, were always just a hair left, right? Mm-hmm. Wide left. And then that last miss went right for the first time all season. Clearly something's off, and Zach, I think that what they're looking at here, yes, they could talk about you can overcompensate an injury. And you and I have had this conversation. And for me with baseball, I could tell you guys, for guys that are trying to throw, guys that are trying to hit, if something's just a hair off, you're changing something maybe without noticing, or you're trying to do too much because you think you need to do more. But everything we've heard, Zach, from Tucker was, hey, he's striking it well in warmups. Everything looks good in practice. I think it's right in between the ears right now where we don't know what could be going on in personal life, what could be going on, outside of the field of play. But what we do know is when he's stepping on the field of play, we're seeing the same results. And I'm not seeing a guy that's lost physical leg talent. I'm just seeing a guy that doesn't have confidence. That's the first time as Ravens fans, truly, that we've ever seen this vulnerable of a Justin Tucker in the 12 years he's been with the team.
Yeah. I don't know. That's unfortunately the answer is I don't know when it comes to this Justin Tucker stuff, because like you just said, as a Ravens fan, as someone who has spent the last 12 years, anytime Justin Tucker trotted out there, that didn't matter if it was from 66, didn't matter if it was from 15. I thought that ball with 100% confidence was going through the uprights. And as you said, he hasn't lost leg. He'll kick it, and he's kicking it from 56, 57, and it's going through. It's even the misses are going through halfway up the upright. The leg's still there. I don't know what's happened with the accuracy. If it is overcompensation for something, if it is just, hey, mechanics are off, because this is the first time in our lives that we've looked at Justin Tucker and we're like, yesterday, I literally, we sat there, it was on the 25, 30 yard line. And I was like, this might be 4 down territory if you don't get this on 4th and 8, because I don't know if your kicker has confidence. I used to be someone who it'd be like, it's a 68 yarder from this length. I was like, send him out there.
Yeah.
I'm like, you might as well. He'll probably make it. We're good. And it's just complete 180. So it sucks.
You know what I want to tell people as well? This is a good baseball analogy, because I was sitting there, Zach, and my dad and I were talking about this, just the psychological part, because baseball players, man, you can get in your head and the best thing can happen or the worst thing can happen. And for Orioles fans, I think the biggest one recently, as we're looking over the last, 5 to 10 years, or one that just fell off so dramatically, the Chris Davis situation, right? Where a hitter could be so good the year before, and then all of a sudden it goes, well, what happened? You get in your head as a hitter. When you are on a hot streak as a hitter, you can hit anything. Balls 5 feet above your head, balls in the dirt. You're taking every tough pitch. Nothing stops you. I'd consider that for a kicker. For Tucker last year, when you're saying, hey, send him out there, when Tucker was on, it didn't matter where it was. It didn't matter if it was a low snap. Didn't matter of any circumstance. He believed he was going to go out there and make it. So for the first time in his career now this year, he's not having that confidence that he's going to go out there and make it. He might say that, hey, I trust myself that I'm going to make the kick. But in the back of your mind, I'm telling you, as an athlete, there's something there that you're not having that same belief. And it's a real thing. Mm-hmm. It's a real thing that athletes got to deal with. And so many kickers here, when the ones that don't make it in the NFL, or they have to go somewhere to get a second chance, it's not because they lack leg talent. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think of even kickers now in the NFL. Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't Koo start with the Chargers back in the day?
Oh,
I think he did. I don't think he started with the Falcons. And then it took him some time. How about Robert Aguayo had the best leg coming out of college, apparently? And then how quickly he was gone. He couldn't make those pressure kicks. So it's not anything so much to do with, you're right, Koo was with the Chargers.
Koo was with the Chargers.
Ravens fans can remember Stephen Hauschka had a tough time in Baltimore, settled in and found himself in Seattle.
Yeah.
Kickers jump around all the time because it's not a physical trait, it's a mental trait. But what's it mean for Baltimore now? What do you do? Because it's the greatest kicker we've seen in our generation, Zach. It's a guy that has more experience than anybody else, but what do you do? Personally, I think you ride or die with the situation. And I know that's what people are saying, hey, you get rid of him. If he gets back to any type of his form, the Ravens are going to go a far way in the playoffs. I do believe that. But it's a risk. Where do you stand on that?
It's tough. This is probably the toughest decision out there for the Ravens right now, because You would obviously have to come from out of organization to go get a kicker. Do you bring in someone for competition just to be like, hey, we need to start looking? Does that hurt the confidence more? It's something just I agree with what British Raven says, where he talks about their actions in the bye week will be key. I think this is interesting because it is a bye week. I'm not sure what happens if they view this as, hey, we're just going to give everyone time to reset, or do they view this as, hey, we need to find something to add to this team, whether it is the kicker or whatever it may be. I think we'll know by this bye week. I don't think if they stick with Tucker coming out of this, which I believe they will, I just find it very hard to see them move on from Tucker. And I know people say, oh, we're just relying on his, past and everything, the nostalgia. Bill Belichick talked about it too. If there's a big moment in the playoffs, it's such a mental game that you want the guy who's been there, done that, even if he's not doing well right now. So I lean that they're going to stick with Tucker. I find it very hard to see them moving on, especially because I believe if they cut him, his dead cap is more than what it would be to just keep him. So just so many different variables. I think it is just they're going to stick with them.
And I think that they should. I think great kickers, by the way, I think it's a good thing to do. Also, another name who's arguably, he's at the top of that list right now for kickers. It's in the division. He won the game for the Steelers against Baltimore, Chris Boswell. Chris Boswell was, 6 for 6 against the Ravens in that game?
Yep.
People might forget in 2018, Pittsburgh was in a similar situation with him. He couldn't make a kick. He was 13 to 20, Zach, on field goals, and he missed 5 extra points that year. And people were going, well, wait a minute. What do we do? What do we do with Chris Boswell? Well, he got right. They stayed with him. And Chris Boswell then hasn't had more, if I'm looking at this correctly. He's had one down season where he was injured in 2022, where he only played 12, so he was on the IR injury. Take out the injuries aside. The next year, 29 to 31, 19 to 20, 36 to 40, 29 to 31, and this year he's 34 for 37. So great kickers can get back on track.
Yeah. And I like what Chris says here. There's no point that you should even leave the games in the hands or feet of your kicker anyway. Anyone, even the most cold-blooded of all, can miss at the worst times. We remember, even when he was at his best, the Saints extra point. Everyone remembers Lamar Jackson's first touchdown game. Joe Flacco's last as the starter. Ravens go down, tie the game. This was peak Tucker.
Yeah.
This was Tucker. If it even swayed slightly to the right but was still down the middle, you're like, ooh, what happened there? This was dead center Tucker. Missed the extra point to tie the game.
Yep.
I mean, it just happens.
And this is the case, Gary Anderson, for those that would remember back in the day, Gary Anderson for that Minnesota Vikings team was unbelievable.
Yep.
Great, fantastic, perfect. Would have sent the Vikings to the Super Bowl, and he missed a kick he probably makes 9 times out of 10, right? So, or maybe even 10 times out of 10. So, and I know the conversation, Brooks, people still want to go to the whole Jordan Stout thing. And then look, I'm not going to sit here and go,
I don't know enough about holding to take a stance on
right. So that's why I want to be careful with that. But I do understand why people say that, and then people say, what about the long snapper, Nick? Don't you slander Nick Moore here. Nick Moore was on that team in 21 when they had the longest kick in NFL history. Nick just tore his Achilles and missed a year.
Yeah.
So, but in general here, it's a fine line. It's a fine line of what's happening here. And hopefully, though, the biggest thing is Ravens just got to win games. They got to put touchdowns together. The Ravens offense, numbers-wise, yardage-wise, they're at the top, Zach. But I think the biggest thing is if your offense is at the top and they've been good at executing in the red zone, the 2 losses to Pittsburgh, they couldn't get towards the end zone enough. They couldn't finish drives. That's the biggest thing against the 2 teams that have good records recently, the Steelers and the Eagles. Came down to, could you get in the end zone? Yes, Tucker missed some kicks in both. But for as talented as a Ravens offense that they have, a lot of missed opportunities that they could have done. And as good as an offense as you are, you still got to find a way to put in the end zone. 1 touchdown yesterday until the end wasn't going to beat Philly. I'll tell you that. Even with the field goals made, they were going to need another touchdown. So that is the way the cookie crumbles here. Hey, if you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Ryan Ripken Show. We're talking and trying to recover on this Monday. Luckily, I didn't have too much of the Deep Eddy vodka for us yesterday. That was at least like a
tiny one.
We're going to have some it's going to be Christmas and the holidays again soon. We're going to have holiday cocktails.
To say it already is the holidays, technically.
So, what do you consider this time?
It's the holidays. Once we hit Thanksgiving, we are in the holidays.
So,
because I see the holidays as Thanksgiving to New Year's. That's the 3 holidays. So the holidays. If you want to start counting it, maybe on like I saw things like the Monday from like once it started, the Monday before Thanksgiving, like from then on, people consider it the holidays.
The holidays.
Yeah.
It's all about the holidays.
Yeah. And Brooks, how about that dub on Thursday?
Yeah, it was a big weekend Thanksgiving-wise for you. The Dons win.
Yeah.
And the Thundering Herd are going to the championship.
God, there's actually so much drama in Marshall right now. Their coach is secretly quit the team and is going to Southern Mississippi, and no one's commenting on it right now. It's a very weird vibe at Marshall University right now around the football program because it's an all-time high, potentially winning the Sun Belt, but like the coach is so out of here, going to a fellow Sun Belt team, the bottom feeders. It's gonna be weird, but a lot of drama in Huntington. We'll see what happens.
Well, I'm glad that at least they're winning games for you. And you know what? There's some excitement there, and everything's better when you're winning and you think about the problems later. Just kind of like, I was going to say, I was trying to do an analogy for today, but I'll tell you what, there was not a lot of winning here in Baltimore, unfortunately, this weekend. And things have been dormant in general. No baseball, real moves. As soon as I said that, by the way, something's going to probably pop up.
Oh, yeah.
As soon as it happens. And that's going to be for a whole further discussion here. But, guys, why don't we take a little trip now, Zach? Let's look at this little MVP race. You know, and I don't like to jump to it each week, but I think we're actually now at the point now where it is
MVP.
There's 5 weeks left. Yeah. And Lamar was the front runner for half the season, 10 weeks, 11 weeks. But the last 2 weeks, things have changed. 3 weeks, I guess, because the Bills bye. And it was the 2 wins that the Bills had and the plays, moments that one quarterback had. Josh Allen. And while we look at those odds of the MVP, why don't we take a trip up to our sponsor, Hollywood Casino at Charlestown Races in West Virginia. Pretty good. Pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah, so Josh Allen now is overtaking Lamar Jackson as the odds-on favorite to win the MVP.
Oh, yeah.
And quite frankly, I got no issue with that. I know Lamar's stats look great. But man, Josh Allen, if you could put a image to describe the race or describe a moment, Josh Allen probably had 3 of those moments in the last 2 games he's played. That run against Kansas City, the touchdown yesterday, multiple touchdowns. The one that he caught and technically threw.
No, I want to, first off, complete BS that counts as 2 touchdowns.
Oh, dude, it almost cost me.
I almost lost the game because of it. I was like, we're giving 2 touchdowns for this? But yes, incredible.
Yeah, no, it was great until it was an 11-point play that almost swayed
a little scary there.
But now Josh Allen, the other part of it is take out those incredible moments. Now the Bills they're rolling. They're a wagon. They've been winning games.
Rebuild year.
After that embarrassing loss to Baltimore, you can argue they're playing as good as football as anybody else in the National Football League.
Mm-hmm.
And actually right now, Rex Ryan was talking about who he thinks the MVP race is. And it's not even considering, Lamar Jackson here. It's obviously he's got no reservations declaring who he thinks the best player in football is. So let's play that clip for you.
Best player in the National Football League. I never said quarterback. He's the best player. And that's it. And look, the guy in the red zone, like I say, he's impossible to defend in the red zone. I think he's the best in the history of the game. Oh, no, he's not. No, he's not. The hell he isn't. I've had to defend them all. Thank goodness I haven't had to defend this cat. Oh, God. I get the Jet
Maybe you will
job.
next year.
Maybe. But anyway, I mean, this guy really is. I mean, you have to have a bazooka to throw the ball in the red zone, Dano, as you know.
Yeah.
Those windows get tight in the red zone. Well, guess what? He does it. All right? When he runs the ball, he's an absolute freak, the best ever. And by the way, look at the conditions he plays in.
Yeah.
Nobody can play in those conditions except Josh Allen.
Now, everyone's prisoners of the moment.
Yep.
Always. Obviously, that it's easy to do that. Just like we were talking about how if Lamar loses this game to the Eagles, that's really going to change the narrative. No, the narrative for Lamar, no matter what, is going to be what happens in January and hopefully February. That's just call a spade a spade. That's the situation for Lamar, not how talented he is. Josh Allen, though, I feel like it has been that roller coaster. But you know what? Good for Josh Allen. A guy that actually has really, to me, this is his best work for a team where they felt like they were maybe going to fall off. The Jets are going to overtake them. And Josh Allen is really gravitating towards the role. But you know what's seeing that list on there? Some people saying Saquon Barkley. No running backs winning this award.
It's not ever going to come.
And Josh Allen, you know what? If they continue on what they're doing, they clinch the division too. Also terrible division, but they clinched the division. Yeah, everything is going Josh's way. And if I was going to put a bet down on this, I say that Josh Allen's going to finish this year and get his first MVP to his mantle. And the Bills are going to have a legit shot to be the number 1 seed.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the win against Kansas City, they get that tiebreaker. If both teams finish with 2 losses, 3 losses, then yeah, they do get that 1 seed, and the road to the Super Bowl goes through snowy Buffalo. And we talk about, how big home field advantage is. Man, if you have to play the Buffalo Bills in that kind of weather, that's not easy. That is not easy. So definite home field advantage. Yeah, Josh Allen is playing the best football in all of the National Football League right now. And it's very similar last year to Lamar Jackson in the fact of maybe it wasn't always the stats that jumped off the screen to you, but if you watch the games, it's pretty clear who the best player on the field is. It's Josh Allen. And, things like that lateral, things like, last night was just, it's hard to talk about last night's game because with all the snow, you had so many wild factors that you're then you had this incredible run, but 9 guys were slipping and falling. So
yeah.
Incredible snow football game, but Josh Allen, every time, doesn't matter. Snow, sleet, rain, sunny and 70. This year, he's been the best football player on the field every game he's played in.
Oh, no doubt about it for that Buffalo team. He's been everything to them, just like Lamar has been to the Ravens, really, for the last few years. And I think he's evolved as a player, as a leader. People are talking about how he goes about it. And honestly, he's even being smarter with the football, too. He's not being the crazy aggressive quarterback that might have cost them games. He's doing everything that's asked of them, and then they win the game. And their defense is that bend, don't break. And I'll tell you what, you're talking about a team that's got the Super Bowl hangover, a bunch of injuries, banged up. The 49ers, man, it's a mess. It's an absolute mess over there. And looks like McCaffrey's done for the year, right, with that PCL injury, looking at it. So, and I even think about this. It still hurts me. He was my first overall pick in fantasy. Again, fantasy, they don't care about fantasy. But for me, for the team, that was tough. And I traded McCaffrey early on because I was just afraid it was going to be an uphill battle. And they were going to need him to kind of be like a Superman on that team. And the 49ers just can't put it together. But they got a shot in that division still. Josh Allen, though, in the AFC, they are a way different team if they play in Buffalo too.
Yeah.
If it's a snow game like that, it's advantage Buffalo every single time. So I'm excited to see how this plays out. Happy for Josh Allen, but I still think Lamar Jackson could give a run for the money of being the best player in the league. But Josh Allen is definitely going to be the MVP if it were to end today. So, yeah, no, Joe, I know you're a 49ers fan.
Yeah. Tough. We're sorry, Joe.
We're sorry.
It was such a weird game last night.
So the other thing of that part of the Josh Allen touchdown, by the way, so that drew my opponent, my buddy Chuck, within 6. And I'm like, this can't be happening. He has Josh Allen and Debo. And I'm going, all right, get everyone off the field. It's a safety concern now. And then Debo takes that kickoff return and fumbles.
Yeah.
And then Josh Allen got pulled right before that drive. 49ers got 3 and out the next drive, and that's all she wrote. And I went, wow, thank you. But also I think the point being, winning's very hard. It's a challenge in the NFL. And so we're seeing that from all different angles here. But I'll tell you what, man, the AFC is open. It's open for business. So even though Baltimore has been struggling, that team can still do some damage, man, because is there any team that truly scares you, Zach, in the AFC? Like, we're looking at it right now. Is there a team where you're like, I don't know if we can match up and win that game?
No. Not a single one.
I don't like the Chiefs voodoo, but I feel good about matching up with the Chiefs.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's if you go talent, and I always, people are going to say, oh, look at the playoffs. I like the Ravens odds every single time Lamar Jackson straps up the laces. So it is that feeling of, do I feel confident in every single game right now that, we're the, front runners, all that? No. But do I look at any of these teams after the Ravens or an Isaiah likely toe away from potentially beating the Chiefs, how they went and handled the Buffalo Bills, how they looked against these other top teams? For the most part, they held their ground yesterday with the Eagles. It's one of those things where, it's the team isn't necessarily firing on all cylinders right now, but we haven't seen them fire on all cylinders yet this year. And they're still at this point. So if they can somehow get to, actually had some people call me out on Twitter for this today, because I said, just make it to the playoffs and go from there. They're like, well, this is what we said about the Orioles. Yeah. And we saw what happens. That doesn't mean it's going to go well when you say make it to the playoffs and see what happens. It means make it to the playoffs and then we'll see what happens.
It literally means what the phrase is.
Exactly.
We will see what happens. I'll tell you what, Zach, we know what happens if you don't make the playoffs.
You can't win.
You can't win.
Yeah.
You cannot win. Sources can confirm.
Yeah.
You cannot win a championship if you do not make the playoffs.
Yeah, and I like this real fast.
There.
Kyle Van Noy and Michael Pierce. Obviously, Michael Pierce not activated from the IR, but Kyle Van Noy was out yesterday. Pierce should be back after. Both should be back after the bye week. So just adding more depth on defense, more pieces getting back. Defense is starting to look good. I've seen people say, let's not give Zach Orr his flowers because he's just doing his job. They were in a pretty bad hole for a long time. So for them to make the strides they have now, whether you want to say it's personnel wise with our Darius Washington coming in, maybe some better communications across the board, stuff like that, then it's here or there. But this defense, give Zach Orr his credit. He this team from now the past 3 weeks compared to the previous 10. Very different ball game.
Oh, for sure. And by the way, Roquan Smith, it was good having him back on the field. You see Lane Johnson talking about him too?
Mm-hmm.
You see Lane Johnson saying he hasn't seen someone calling out plays since Luke Kuechly, that intuition. So the respect over there on the other side from the Eagles, they're saying Roquan, man, like that, he was reading what we were doing. The defense played well. Kyle Van Noy, that's a big loss for the team. Hopefully then Michael Pierce is back soon. And then you got to see it's a fair game. But if I'm doing this little crystal ball thing right here, every team is beatable here this year. Truly. It's kind of like the college football playoff. You don't really see like a true favorite, right? Like you could say Oregon, I guess. Oregon would be the favorite in the college football playoff, right? They're undefeated. But everyone felt Ohio State was right there with them until Michigan, right?
Yeah.
But then every other team, every team has flaws. So this playoff's going to be really interesting. I think the NFL is in a similar stance. I think a lot of teams can make some noise. You just got to get there. So that is one thing. Unfortunately, one team that's going nowhere and their season continues to spiral, Zach. It's that team down in Jacksonville and Duval. And the worst things that can keep happening for them. It's just one after another. They had some big injuries early. Then Trevor Lawrence was banged up. And then yesterday, Trevor Lawrence was absolutely smacked on that run there, which we got the clip for you. I can pull it up. If you guys hadn't seen it, Trevor's trying to give himself up. Head smacks into the ground. It's a forearm right to the head. And we kind of talked about this for a little bit, Zach. I mean, they're trying to do a better job protecting quarterbacks, right? That's the goal. And this probably is going to lead to a possible suspension, no doubt a fine, ejected from the game.
He'll get suspended.
Right? So they're trying to make courses and ramifications for plays, right? But then, Rex and Dan Orlovsky were earlier going on and on about protecting quarterbacks, and you and I even talked about it. I think the NFL needs to have a conversation with quarterbacks on how they can try to protect themselves more. You made a great point here about Trevor Lawrence's effort here. Again, not condoning the play. You can tackle better in those situations, but quarterbacks are still in a susceptible spot to be in danger. Is that a fair way to say it, Zach?
Yeah. What happened yesterday just sucks because you see a guy like Trevor Lawrence. Obviously, one, you never like to see when somebody's body reacts that way to get hit. And, they kind of go stiff. And it's a very scary moment. And that's why you saw the fight break out on the field afterwards, because teammates didn't appreciate it. But at the same time, it's towing this fine line of, hey, yes, the quarterback is giving himself up, but Trevor Lawrence is trying to get every single yard possible there. He is going out there to try to get every single yard possible. He's going to try to get the first down, and he probably slid a little late. Now, does that mean that doesn't suck what happens? No, you never want to see something like this, but I still see Al-Shair's side of, hey, I'm coming 20 miles an hour plus running at you. I don't know what your move's going to be. He goes down. Obviously, unfortunately, the forearm to the helmet is really what drawn some time. And then, unfortunately, when you look back over the past years, this is not Al-Shair's first unnecessary roughness call or time where he's maybe thrown a punch or two and had to get thrown. So it's the track record, I think, is what also hurts this situation. It's not just this play. It's also hey, this is a guy who has had a few, even on Caleb Williams earlier this year. Caleb clearly out of bounds, and Al-Shair comes and helmet to helmets him. So it's also the player that I think has led to some of the outlash.
Yeah, I mean, look, it was a brutal play. It was a brutal hit, right? But at the same point of it, quarterbacks trying to get as many yards as they can and try to go down late. It's hard to stop your momentum. Now, again, where you can have your force going as a defensive player, that's the part that goes into question. But for quarterbacks there, and we've seen it on scrambles. I mean, hell, different situation, but like even Tua trying to scramble early in the season, which led to the concussion that knocked him out for so many games. He was trying to get more yards, put himself in a position, and then that happened, right? So there's got to be some sort of conversation if you want to try to protect the quarterbacks, a training on what it should be. And Joe, I see it. I don't know if there is I don't know if we can find the actual clip for it, unfortunately. But in general here, Rex Ryan just was saying it was just pissing him off to no end at this point in time that we're continuing to see these types of injuries to quarterbacks, but he thinks that they can still be preventable. You need to call the plays or call the penalties when they happen, but you also need to try to educate your quarterback to go, hey, I know we want that extra yard, but we got to make sure you're staying in a good position. Your health's fine. We're not doing a good enough job of teaching that. That's what Rex says. And it's a different day and age of game. Back in the day, yeah, you can just get your absolute shit rocked. No longer is that going to be the case when it comes to especially going after a quarterback. So that's just kind of where it is. So if you guys are new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Ryan Ripken Show, Monday and Thursday. We do this live. Wednesday, we're doing our baseball hot stove, just baseball talk, so we can get you guys prepared in the spring. We're going to be really into the baseball season, and next week there's some things to get you into the baseball season, but that's just the way things are running here for us. Football is hot. Ravens, even though with the loss, still in a good position. People are still having a lot of hope here for Baltimore moving forward. But let's talk about a positive play, Zach. How about that? Let's get happy. Let's get happy.
There we go.
Here we go. Get a little happy here. So, Stuggies, like I talked to you guys before, they want to introduce a player of the week brought to you by Pat and Stuggs. So, the Freedom Eats and Stuggies, they've combined together where they want to really talk about a couple things. One, Pat and Stokes just launched on Uber Eats. So if you're looking for good meats and if you're feeling getting the dog in you, that didn't sound right. But if you're feeling like having a good hot dog, they are now available on Uber Eats. But they want to start something where they give away a LaFrida Tomahawk 32-ounce to a Ravens Player of the Week or one of the best plays. Unfortunately, it's hard to say that the Ravens were able to feel good about the Player of the Week per se because, you know, they lost the game. But the play of the game yesterday, by far, it was Marky Mark, Zach, with that touchdown. I'm going to pull it up for you guys real quick. This was fantastic. Mark Andrews coming back to the ball, high points it right over the defender, over Blankenship. This was the play for Baltimore yesterday, and it fires me up again. We're going to play it again. And I'll tell you what, whoever says Mark Andrews is not an elite tight end, shame on you. Shame on you. This man is back. He's starting to gain momentum. That's like his 7th touchdown now in the season?
Yeah, if you ever
He's
questioned
back.
if Mark Andrews wasn't an elite tight end. So remember when we were going to trade him because likely needed to take over, and now every single game, at least 4 times a game, you sit there and you go, oh boy, we need something. Oh, okay, Mark Andrews just got it. Oh, big third down. Oh, contested catch. Oh, okay, Mark Andrews just grabbed it. Bullet where only one man can go get it. Okay, Mark Andrews just grabbed it. It's what he does. It's what he does. Mr. Reliable, reliable.
Marky Mark, man. So he is our Player of the Week, Play of the Week. So we're going to try to figure out a way to get that 32-ounce tomahawk with LaFrida Meats and Pat and Stuggs. And we're going to actually get them on here to talk about what they're doing here and talk about some great opportunities here for our Baltimore community because they want to continue to give back. And that's what we want to do. And especially there's a lot of great opportunities and events that are coming your way in the area here. So we'll keep you guys posted on all of that. So I think we should open up something here. Oh, yeah, you know what, Zach? I know. I'm aware. And this was actually a great point. I want to say Ryan turned Mark Andrews' season around by dropping and adding him in week 3. On the show with Nick Moore, I should find that clip, said I had to let him go so the rest could prosper, so he could get back to it. And then I spent all of my fab to get him back. Like, I mean all of it, to get back Marky Mark. And sure enough, after week 3, Marky Mark returned to his greatness. So that's what we got. We're going to open call-ins in a second here. We're not going as long today. I think we're going to wrap it up at 4:30, 4:40. We do have a wild Kevin Ostreicher in the background here.
Yeah, I noticed. We want to bring him on?
Yeah, we'll bring him on.
Kevin.
Kevin, there he is.
What's going on, guys? Ryan, I remember
15 yards, Kevin. Finger guns are 15 yards. Did you learn nothing from George Pickens?
All right, next time I'm in studio, I'll take some laps.
Yeah,
I'll
15.
take some laps.
15
laps. All right. But Ryan, I remember vividly you taking credit for Mark's turnaround. I remember, and I said, "Oh, you were the one who gave up," and you said, "No, that's not what happened. I'm the one that started this whole thing." And it was a couple weeks. I think we can probably find it. It was a couple weeks ago.
Oh, it wasn't a couple. Oh, yeah, me responding to him, but the initial one there, I said I had to let him go. He's a peacock, Kevin. I gotta let him fly, and he definitely did. And hey, look, he played well. So, Kev, we talked a little bit about the Ravens so far here. I don't think we're gonna have Nick on today, just given everything. You know, they got a different schedule. But hey, Mark played well. Zach and I talked about this for a moment. We can just touch on this in general. If you actually look at the box score, time of possession, Ravens. Total yards, Ravens. Third down efficiency, Ravens. Similar, 6 of 15, 4 of 12 for Philly. More rushing yards, more passing yards, own the time of possession, fewer penalties. But inside the 30-yard line, Kev, the Ravens weren't good. That was the one glaring thing besides the kicks. And, besides the Tucker miss, that's the headline. Ravens did a lot of good things, but it doesn't feel good with the result.
Yeah, I mean, you do look at the box score, and it's all mostly in favor of the Ravens. And it just feels like whenever one thing gets solved or they get better at it, 2 new things pop up where they beat themselves. You know, with the penalties, they only had 4 of them, and that's great. I mean, that's a lot better than what we've seen over the course of the season for the Ravens. Less than half of their season average. But then you have the special teams gaffes, obviously the offensive inconsistency. And really, I think the most bummer part of it for me is you waste a really good defensive performance. For all of the ragging that has gone on with the defense over the year and how they've needed to figure it out and how they've struggled, they've put together 3 really solid performances, and they've lost 2 of those games, which is pretty tough considering that we asked for this defensively. We were wondering, was this defense going to show up ever this year? They've done it, but then it just feels like with this team, when one unit turns it on, the other 2 flop out. Or when 2 units turn it on, the other one flops out, and it results in either a closer than expected win or losses like we've seen. So for the special teams, yes, I know Justin Tucker's the big storyline and that whole battery in itself. But, I mean, Tylan Wallace had a poor game, and, it just felt like the only good thing that happened on special teams was Rasheen Ali, shout out Zach, Thundering Herd, had a pretty good return. That was really the only thing that happened.
Yeah.
Come on.
It's like I said on Kevin and Zach Rack last night. The return that nobody cared about probably in the entire fan base but me. He got to the 36-yard line, and everyone else was probably like, all right, you gave us 6 yards. And I was like, that's what the Marshall Thundering Herd do. They put you in position to win.
That's it right there.
That's it.
That's
NFL Factory, Marshall Thundering Herd.
If the Ravens had more
Thundering
Herd,
this is what
could have been.
I will say, though, Rasheen Ali, do not sleep on him in the return game because he scored 22 touchdowns for the Herd in 2021 and like 6 run returns. He actually is an incredible returner. It's probably the only way he's going to get on this field right now, especially with other people. But that I was happy to see him. Do well.
Yeah, he was. You're right. With the offensive pieces with Derrick Henry and Justice Hill and even Keaton Mitchell, the depth chart.
Yeah, he's not high on it. That's
not high on it. But you know what? Maybe we do play this clip then with the Shannon Sharp and Kev. We can react to this. So Shannon talked about the Ravens offensive line yesterday, specifically about Derrick Henry here, that, hey, there's some things happening that shouldn't be happening. If things were fixed, Derrick might already have 2,000 yards. Well, I don't know about that, but let's listen to what Shannon Sharp says, and we'll react on the other side.
Derrick Henry probably should have 2,000 yards. He's either getting hit in the backfield and breaking tackles and getting 3 and 4 yards, or he's getting a run. I've never seen a back, especially of his caliber, get hit in the backfield more than what Derrick Henry's getting hit. And it's amazing. And I watched the game very, very carefully, Stephen. I was like, how does this man have this many yards with this many hits before he gets to the line of scrimmage?
Okay, so first off here, Kev, with that, look, Derrick Henry's actually been hit like that quite a bit throughout his entire career. It happened in Tennessee, watching him, but then I also watched Derrick Henry run for 90 yards in one play and stiff arm everybody and do his Derrick Henry thing. So I think that part's unfair, and especially the Eagles front is really good. Carter, Davis, dogs. Literally, Jordan Davis, they're both Georgia dogs. They are the Georgia Bulldogs.
That entire defense
is the Georgia Bulldogs.
Kaylee Ringo, Nolan Smith. They have like 3 other guys. It is like 7 Georgia Bulldogs on that.
So figuratively, literally, metaphorically, they're dogs.
Yeah, they're dogs.
So there's that, Kev. But there was one part of, at least we're talking about inconsistencies. Yeah, I would say in this case, there's been a little bit more inconsistencies still that have been coming more to fruition on the offensive line, at least when it comes to the running game.
Yeah, and I know that the unit as a whole, I think, has performed overall better than people thought, because I think Daniel Falele got it together after those first couple of weeks, at least relative to what was expected of him.
Yeah.
And Patrick McCary obviously stepping in for the injured Andrew Voorhees. But this front is really, really good. And I think in specific matchups like this, or Kansas City with Chris Jones and those guys, or Pittsburgh with what we've seen there, those bigger, more physical fronts have given this Ravens offensive line fits. So when you talk about a team like Buffalo and how Baltimore is able to kind of do them dirty, that's because Baltimore was able to get into the second level, out physical Buffalo's defensive front. But when you have guys like Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis and a bunch of guys on the exterior too who can make plays, it's tough because you look at the tape and Daniel Falele was getting caught behind his own guys. He was getting juked out by inside linebackers. And that's the thing with these guys is either they're too athletic and they're not beefy enough, like a Patrick McCary, who can sometimes get overwhelmed, or they're too big and not athletic enough, like Daniel Falele. So when a guy like him gets to the second level, if you can dip under him or make him get off of his feet, it's easy to just move around him. If he gets his hands on you, you're toast. But if you can move around him, it's easy pickings for you. And that's what we saw on Sunday. So John Harbaugh, during his press conference earlier, about 30, 45 minutes ago, said they're not going to really consider any offensive line changes and that they're kind of rolling with what they are going to roll with. And that necessarily doesn't shock me based off of what their MO is. But it's difficult because if you are faced off against a team in the postseason like a Pittsburgh or Kansas City, or maybe you do make it to the Super Bowl and you see a Philly again, or Detroit, who, despite losing Aiden Hutchinson, it still has some dogs on that D-line, that could prove to be pretty costly because Derrick Henry, heck of a player, can do a lot by himself, but he cannot do it all by himself. He needs some help and he needs some open rushing lanes to get going.
Yeah, you know what I love, though, yesterday, Zach, we talked about it. Yeah. He got his touches in the rushing department and the receiving department. Like they were giving them the ball. It's just going to be, if you're going to want to, I think a good way to describe it, and it's a little bit different, but I think if Baltimore could be like Philadelphia, if they would have Philadelphia down the stretch, what they want to do is just hand the ball off to Saquon Barkley and just rip your soul out. And that's what they did down the stretch. And that one touchdown for Saquon, he just bulldozered over one guy, got going, and then I forget who the last line of defense. It was just nothing. Saquon just ran right through him, 5 yards away from the end zone. Hey, okay, there it is. Yeah, that's what they want to do. The week before against the Rams, Saquon again ripped the soul right out of him. That's what I think Baltimore wants to do, Kev, but it's hard to do that when you're kind of in this dogfight and you're not finishing drives with touchdowns, and then you're kind of in this limbo because that's what the other glaring thing, besides the Justin Tucker misses, Ravens got down to the 20. Lamar had 2 big sacks, or they stalled. Lack of a better word. They stalled. And that was a big difference. Philly punched in 3 touchdowns within the 25-yard line, and the Baltimore Ravens, until the final drive, only were able to do that once.
Yeah. And that's difficult because, we were talking about how for a team like Pittsburgh, they were still able to go out and kick field goals and win that game against Baltimore because Chris Boswell goes 6 of 6. So we destroyed Pittsburgh's offense for doing that. To say, yeah, you need to get the ball in the end zone, and yeah, your kicker bails you out on a lot of those plays, but you can't put them in that situation in the first place and expect to win games. They got, lucky's not the word, but they were able to get the job done. Now in Baltimore's case, yeah, Lamar missed some throws in this game. He certainly had his Lamar Houdini moments, and a couple of them for sure. But 2 of these last 3 weeks, Lamar has struggled. And again, there was a play, Mark Andrews, ball goes through his hands. Nelson Aguilar had a couple of tough drops. And Zach, you had my favorite line of yesterday on Kevin and Zach React saying that Deontay Johnson, his coat looked warm.
His coat did look warm. He looked very well. I would not want to go out in the cold on the field either if I was in that warm coat, which actually, Kevin, I'm glad you brought this up because I was just going to. I think we should talk about the Deontay Johnson.
We've waited on that one. And clearly it was evident. I remember I was in the talking with a couple people and I go, man, that's a good throw to Aguilar. Oh, that's another throw to Aguilar. We know that Aguilar is going to be on the field.
Yeah.
But then we just saw when Bateman went out, it was Zay, Aguilar, and Tylan Wallace.
Yeah, the Tylan Wallace, when Tylan got a catch.
He deserves his chances.
When Tylan got a catch, that's when I was like, Deontay's not on the field. Like, that was my big, because I was like you said, when Aguilar got his opportunity, you're like, okay, Aguilar, guy goes down. Aguilar, if anything, is the 2 because, Deontay's still, quote unquote, learning the system stuff, maybe getting acclimated. They trust him a little more right now. It's like, okay, but Deontay, it's going to this is his chance to get involved. And then each formation, I'm like, looking at the wide receivers, I'm like, Deontay's not out there. Like, that's not Deontay. And then things just seem to get weirder with each press conference. Coach Harbaugh's asked about it. Obviously today, he talked more about how they will have to wait to see what happens over the following few days before they really address anything. So I'm not sure what's happening there.
Well, you hope that first off, everything's okay personally.
Yes.
But one part is, and again, any team would have made the deal how much Baltimore gave up to get Deontay. But Kev, if Bateman, whatever's going to be happening with Bateman, we see if he falls down, Deontay Johnson's a very capable wide receiver, talent-wise. We've seen it. He played against the Ravens. Yes, we know he had some drops over his career. Guy can separate. Guy can be a playmaker. So it's a really interesting dynamic here. That's probably the storyline that Ravens fans are going to want to know, because if not, why did he come to Baltimore if clearly it's not starting to seem like it's a fit for the time being?
Yeah, and he is a good player. And I think when they brought him in, we were talking about his ability as a separator and just it's depth. It's not a player you want to have to rely on over the course of the rest of the year. But if something like this were to happen where Rashad Bateman or Zay Flowers goes down or has to miss time or leave in the middle of a game, it's like, okay, well, now you have someone that talent-wise, I think you trust a little more than Nelson Aguilar, a little more than Tylan Wallace. Not that Tylan doesn't deserve opportunities or Nelson is this like bottom of the barrel wide receiver, because neither of those statements are true. But Deontay is a good talent. But it feels like it's been weird from the start, where it's like, yes, he's getting acclimated to everything, and it always takes some time with new guys coming in the middle of the season when things are established. But Deontay was traded from Pittsburgh mainly because of the contract and the fact that he was a distraction on multiple fronts. He gets traded from Carolina, and Carolina's willing to move off of him for essentially nothing because apparently he was growing unhappy with what was going on there, and they didn't want to deal with that. Now there are whatever it is, if it's from the Ravens side of things and they're not playing him and Deontay's mad about that, or if Deontay has been mad about playing time and has been making it a bigger deal, championship teams can't have distractions. And I'll save everybody the nugget spiel that I did on Kevin and Zach React, because everybody's heard it 80 million times. But championship teams, it's hard to have distractions and win. Like, you have to be able to have a clear goal, one mind. And it feels like between this, Eddie Jackson, Marcus Williams, it just feels like there's been stuff piling on all season. And while, yes, you can move off of a guy like Eddie Jackson because the money's not really a big deal, or Deontay, yes, they can cut him if they want to. Well, with a guy like Marcus, it's what do you do there? And now there's apparently all this stuff about a potential burner account on social media for Deontay Johnson, which is apparently it's one of my favorite storylines because people find these accounts. It's an account called Usually Open, username @usuallyope68903. Two tweets from yesterday saying going to use your best players or what, with a shrug emoji, and then quoting a tweet on Deontay Johnson that Sarah Ellison put out saying one of the best route runners in the league didn't get a snap, with a crying emoji or like laughing emoji. And it's funny because in the comments it's like, Deontay, why aren't you getting snaps, man? Like, you got to tell us what's going on. Like, oh, it's the whole burner account situation. So it's
no comment, but check out, what is the account's name?
Usually Ope. So usually OPE 68903. And there are retweets about Deontay Johnson's routes on here. There was one from November 19th about Deontay Johnson saying best wide receiver on the team, only had 6 routes last game. Another one, Johnson open while playing only 11 snaps, but the Ravens use him as the wide receiver 1. The offense gets better. And this is, again, your classic no profile picture, 0 following, 54 followers account. And people have apparently dubbed this the Deontay Johnson burner. So who knows if it is or not, but
that's the thing.
I think that's a funny
it's hilarious
story.
Because some random person's probably running that, and everyone's like, "Oh, this is Deontay Johnson's burner," and they're like, "I have so much power right now."
I love the investigation of the internet sometimes.
Yeah,
sometimes it can be way too much. Sometimes it's just fantastic. So fascinating. You deep dive into this and you're like, oh, could it be?
Well, it's like the Browns are in a similar situation
with Watson.
They are the Deshaun Watson burner account that is just so openly, like, it just feels like it's Deshaun Watson, like, just only defends Deshaun Watson no matter what.
Well,
it's just gotta give it to him.
Maybe he's just his biggest fan.
Yeah.
Maybe it's him. Maybe it's just somebody out there that's just plotting because it's an opportunity where he knows scheming it up here. Maybe Kevin's running the account,
No.
The whole time.
Maybe it's Kevin.
Knew it, Kevin.
Knew it. That's why we haven't seen him in studio.
Yeah,
because
he running burner account.
Not because he was sick or Banksy was sick. It was
the burner account. Take
the
too
burner
much time
account.
from him.
It was the burner.
I have like 5 phones. You know, I'm refreshing all on my phones, my 5 phones.
He's got all of the that's what he does at 5 a.m. He gets his burner tweets ready for the next day.
Also, it could be Rocco too.
It's probably Rocco.
It really could be.
Rocco loves a good investigation of a burner.
Oh yeah, yes. We need hit Rocco to go full investigation mode. Rocco will blow up our phones here.
Rocco tries to hunt down burner accounts a lot.
He does. And man, he deep dives. So actually, maybe we play a fun joke on Rocco one day. Yo, dude, this account is wild.
Right
now, there he is. This guy's a maniac too, by the way. Kevin, you heard about Rocco's speeding ticket fiasco?
Yeah, apparently, yeah. I didn't hear the full story.
He won it all back and then some.
Yeah.
So
I was saying that Rocco should have asked the cop to walk him into the studio for his entrance to the stream in handcuffs.
That'd have been fantastic from New Jersey.
Yeah, that's what I said. Be like, hey, can I get a? Yeah, maybe he would have gotten on time if he got a cop police escort.
Hey, Rocco, you don't like it? Play better.
Yeah, exactly.
Be here
or drive better.
Or drive. Yeah, you don't like it? Drive better. There it is.
Good one, Kevin.
There it is. But there is a cool thing, by the way. Again, positives from this game. Positives, right? Let's be happy for a moment. We showed the Mark Andrews touchdown. It was a cause, my cleats yesterday for games. So our guy, Nick Moore, wore some in honor of the Marine Scholarship Foundation here. I'm going to pull up the tweet from them real quickly. How do I share the screen? I can do it right here.
Yep.
Ready? I got this one. 3, 2, whammy. You see it?
There it is.
There it is.
Look at that.
And beautiful. And so for those that don't know here, the Marines Corps Scholarship Foundation, largest provider of need-based scholarships to military children. We honor Marines by educating their children. It's really a great cause. And for those that are sacrificing their time to give us opportunities here in the States. But these were the cleats right now that were out, and they're actually up for auction. And again, the proceeds are going to go to the Marine Corps Scholarship Fund. But they were rocking, and you could see them clear as day on the field yesterday. I wish it was a better result for the boys, but honestly, they're great. They're really awesome in general. And shout out Nick. I know he was very ecstatic to be able to showcase that on the biggest stage. So if you guys are interested or you just want to help out, check out mcsf.org/Ravens for more on these specific cleats. So that's what I got with that. Guys, fellas, I got to run out of here soon, because I got Ollie actually is getting groomed, Kev. I got groomed with my hair. The boys are getting groomed today. But, and you can bid. There we go. You can bid on the cleats when they go live at nfl.nflauction.com. Thank you, Rocco DeSangro.
Yeah.
And that's all we thank you for, Rocco. Just kidding. You're a good kid. But I guess in this point, and I know, I'm sorry, Joe, the more you know, we will get some clips for Thursday. And you can blame me. Just they close before. They close at 5, so I got to get Ollie. But do we talk then that other video, since we don't have Nick Moore reacting to the Justin Tucker clip? We have the other one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kevin, do you want to talk a little bit about Bill Belichick?
Yeah, we all got to head out of here soon. So let's get that one in, and then
Red 7, Kevin. So we did show one clip of Bill Belichick and Pat McAfee talking about the misses, but this video is more about specifically what's going wrong or what Bill's specifically seen with Tucker. Am I right or wrong with that, Zach? Yeah?
Yeah.
So Bill is talking directly about what he's seeing with Justin Tucker. So let's play that from the Pat McAfee show, and we'll react on the other side.
About the way that Coach Harbaugh is handling it. When I look at Tucker, I don't see a lack of talent. He still has great height on the ball. The ball, travels with plenty of distance. Clearly, there's some fundamental technique thing that he's not doing consistently, and that's caused him to miss both to the left and to the right. So I think, what I would do is keep working on the fundamentals and the technique of the kick. I don't think there's a lack of talent. I think it's fundamentally there's just something that's not quite right here. And I know, I'm sure that Justin and Coach Harbaugh and the whole operation, the holder, the snapper are all trying to get this, down. I think he's definitely capable of doing it, but like you said, there's nobody else out there that has more experience or has mentally been in more situations than Tucker has. I think I would go with Tucker.
So right there, first off, Bill's saying he's riding with Tucker.
Yeah.
The other part is he was saying, Kev, hey, look, I'm not seeing a leg talent problem with Tuck. One of those misses was from 53 yards. That would have been good from, looked like 60.
Yeah.
Right? So the leg's there. The result isn't. And whether we can say, hey, it's a fundamental issue, and there probably is, but at some point here, Kev, it looks like if it's not an injury and there isn't something that's bothering him and you can overcompensate, it is becoming more of a mental thing. Because right now, it seems like when Tucker's about to kick, or from what we're hearing, more times than not, warm-ups look good.
Mm-hmm.
Practice looks good. The game, it's not. And clearly that mainly goes to one thing, and that goes to the mental side of the game.
Yeah, it clearly looks that way. And you could even tell on that final kick he missed. I mean, he's missed everything left, and it feels like he was just trying to overcorrect, and it went to the right. And then even on that extra point late in garbage time with 3 seconds left, he literally almost doinked that one off the right upright. It squeaked through, no pressure on that kick. So, I mean, for a guy that hasn't had to really deal with that over the course of his career, this is all new for the fan base, but of course for he himself, where he's been so automatic from the jump, from going back to Texas. Like, he's been so good. It's a new thing having to navigate through this failure where, he goes out and misses a kick, and sure, he's missed kicks over the course of his career, but 3 in one game for him is literally unheard of. He's the worst kicker statistically in the NFL this season. He's missed double-digit kicks. And, I don't think that Bill Belichick is wrong in what he says in terms of he thinks he's sticking with Justin Tucker. It's kind of a like damned if you do, damned if you don't situation, because like if you bring somebody else in, like you trusting Randy Bullock over Justin Tucker, are you trusting Katie York over Justin Tucker? If you want to bring somebody in just to have another leg in the building, sure. And John Harbaugh said there's nothing wrong with doing that, but he essentially said, what does that accomplish when you're not going to use the guy? At this point, it's a difficult situation because you kind of just have to ride it out. And Tucker's really the only guy here that they can hope can turn it on and turn it around because, yeah, you're right. Some of these kickers out there aren't even getting close to hitting 55-yarders the way Justin Tucker, we know he can. Has he done it this year? No, he's not done it this season, and it's been unfortunate. It's cost him games. And if the guy's name wasn't Justin Tucker, and if he didn't have the resume of Justin Tucker, he had been out of the building a month and a half ago. So it's just a matter of you have to do your job, because what do we talk about all the time, guys? This is a what have you done for me now lately league. And I think that's why it's so hard to talk about Justin Tucker this way, because he's done so much for the franchise. He's meant so much to the organization, and a calm that you had when he walked out there for the past decade of like, I don't care where this kick is, it's going in. I'm going to walk away, go out to the car, get my groceries. I'll come back. The Ravens will have 3 more points. There's no longer that anymore, even on extra points. So it's tough because they have to rely on him, but now it becomes situational where now even if you're at your own 30-yard line, do you go for it on 4th down if it's 4th and 3? Do you settle for 30-yard Jordan Stout punts in situations where you could have had 3 points on the board? And that could cost you in a 1-possession game. But what's worse is giving the Eagles in this situation the ball back multiple times when their offense wasn't going, and they were able to maximize on those missed opportunities that Baltimore couldn't.
Oh, yeah. And before you get to your point, Zach, the reminder, too, the amount of games that people think that Tucker's costing the Ravens right now, which, again, it's your opinion on how many games the Ravens could have won or lost. Would those kicks have helped the Ravens win this last game? Absolutely. Is it guaranteed the Ravens beat the Eagles? No, they needed to get in the end zone at least one more time before the end of the game. They needed to. It just felt like that was the way the game was going. But he has also won numerous amounts of games, and that's the point, Zach, that Kevin made at the end. Any other kicker, their career is probably done here in Baltimore. But it is Justin Tucker, and they are going to try to get him right because we know what he's like when he's right. he's the best the game's seen.
Yeah, and I'm not going to add too much more to it. I think, Kevin, you hit the nail on the head there. You guys talking about if it was somebody else who wasn't named Justin Tucker, he's not here. But it is Justin Tucker. It's the guy who has the longest kick in NFL history. It's the guy who, for the majority of his career, has proven to be the greatest kicker in NFL history. Maybe they bring in another leg. Maybe they don't. I find it very hard to kind of move on from Justin Tucker in this situation. I just don't see the Ravens doing it, especially when you take into account the cap hits, stuff like that. Just makes it very hard. You don't want to eat $7.5 million from a kicker. So there's just a lot that go into it. I think Tucker stays, and I agree with Bill Belichick in the fact of when the moment's the brightest, playoffs and everything. Tucker's been there, done that. Even if he's struggling, if he sends it out there from 55, I'm going to expect him to hit it in.
No doubt. And here's one more thing. It's a good point. Joey C saying Tucker won that first game in Cincy.
Yep.
Similar distance for Tucker and Evan McPherson's overtime kick.
Mm-hmm.
And Tucker drilled it to keep hopes alive for Baltimore. And then in overtime, Evan McPherson's the one that missed that same similar kick.
Yeah.
But talk about a pressure kick. It's there for Tuck. And that's why Ravens fans, it hurts so much, Kev, right? It hurts so much to see a guy that truly, when everything had gone wrong, that was the one thing or one player that you felt could go right, even more than Lamar Jackson. And that's how great Lamar is. But it also just shows you what Justin Tucker has meant for the last 11 seasons prior to this one. So we'll see how it goes. Ravens, get some rest, get a bye in you. Maybe get some tequila, decompress, and get ready for the Giants. And if you win the last 4 games being at 12-5, maybe you still got a shot to win this AFC North. So we'll see what happens, man. That's the way the cookie crumbles, Kev. I think that's it, guys, because Kevin's got his thing. Kev, appreciate you hopping on here. We miss you in studio.
Yeah, I know. I got to get back. I need to. I'm having globe withdrawal. I need to spin that damn globe again.
You really do. The globe's over here. It's waiting for you. And by the way, if you're a Christian McCaffrey fan, Kyle Shanahan just said out at least 6 weeks, he will be going back on IR. So they're essentially just hoping if they make the playoffs that maybe he comes back. But a disastrous year for Christian McCaffrey and the 49ers so far.
Yeah. And then final things from me. One, happy birthday to my dad. It's my dad's birthday. So happy birthday,
Mr. Bollinger.
Happy birthday there. And then I do have to just play this video before we get out because I saw it on the internet and it's too good not to. So
the ball is tipped, and there you are. You're running for your life. You're a shooting star in all the years. No one knows just how hard you worked, but now it shows. In one shining moment, it's all on the line. In one shining moment, they're frozen in time. The time is short.
Beautiful.
And the road is long. In the blinking of an eye, that moment's gone. And when
absolutely beautiful. Had to play that.
That was fantastic. You know what we should do? This should. I was thinking about this more. Can we add to the show just one thing things that Zach saw on the internet today?
Yeah, we might have to because I saw that and it was the greatest.
No, we're going to start doing that.
Yeah, let's do it.
What Zach saw on the internet. Yeah. Now, there's going to be a certain rating to this.
There has to be. Yes.
We're not going to go. We're going
to. It cannot be anything I saw, especially Twitter these days. You never know what you're going to see on Twitter.
You never know, but apparently what you are going to see on Twitter is that Jordan Mason is also going on IR for the 49ers. The
so
more you know.
It's Garendo now?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, hey, Joe, we're going to need you more for the more you know upcoming soon. I apologize. You can blame me. You can blame Ollie. But we'll get you back on because we need to have our Arkansas facts. But we will have more on what's on the internet with Zach. We'll get to spin the globe with Kevin. And all of you guys, we appreciate you. Hit that like and subscribe button. Hey, Zach, cue the music. us here on the Ryan Ripken Show. We appreciate each and every one of you. Have a day, have a night, have a great stinking rest of your Monday. We'll be back on Wednesday for Hot Stove and Thursday for our 3 p.m. show. Be good. Peace.